beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah. Up early this morning, and I know God smiled on me. Ain't no time to sleep, no, no. I can't wait to start my day because I know it's gonna be beautiful like me. Hey, you're so beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah. Hey, you're so beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah. I look into my mirror, I love everything I see. Ain't no mistakes on me, no. I always remind myself there ain't no other me. Can't nobody else be. Hey, you're so beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah. You can have it all, yeah. Hey you, hey you, hey you, hey you, hey you. Hey you, you're so beautiful. You're the truth, and you do it all so natural. You're so strong, and you show it anything. If you want it, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it all, yeah. Hey you. You can have it all, yeah.
And hello, welcome to this week's edition of Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radio. So we're excited, as always, to be back in studio, recapping everything going on in the world. So, of course, the big event here in Philadelphia this past week was Philadelphia Fashion Week. So we saw so many amazing designers coming down the runway, and just another sensational season. So, of course, we were there Monday for the kickoff party, and they actually had two, one in Dilworth Park and one at Hotbed Art Gallery. And then we were there Wednesday for the Macy's Incubator Show. So for those of you outside of the Philadelphia area who aren't familiar with what the Macy's Incubator is, it's actually a wonderful program that is partnered with Macy's Department Store, where they have a different class of designers. I believe it's twice a year, if I'm not mistaken. And basically they groom these designers, give them a lot of instruction in brand development and marketing and how to grow their brand from the inside out and develop their acumen in the business side of being a designer. Because, of course, if you're in any end of entertainment, fashion, creative arts, it's not only important to be trained in the actual tactile end of what you're doing, but the business, and so that way, you can make a profit. So Wednesday's show was all of the designers that were part of this season's class of the Macy's Incubator Program. Of course, Conrad Booker, who had his first solo showcase collection on Monday, is a graduate of the Macy's Incubator Program. And our former co-host, Michael Thomas, Faithful, his line, presented his first collection in a couple of years, actually. So we're so excited to see his collection. Michael showed beautiful lace gowns accented in citron green, which it's a very big color right now. And he was showing bold color. He had this beautiful blush pink gown that had kind of like wing sleeves, almost reminded me of a caftan, and beautiful black lace applique. Another standout from Wednesday was my dear friend and fashion diva, Ms. Rutania Ann of her line Ann Luchade, and she was, of course, her brand is known for kind of sexy, bold designs, and so she was bringing a lot of metallic to the runway, and also a lot of technology to the runway. So what was really exciting and impressive about Ann Luchade's collection was that she had this battery pack built into the designs where you can actually charge your phone or your device in the dress. So, I believe they're like built-in pockets, but basically like you put your device inside the pocket, and as you're working and doing whatever you're doing, it actually charges your device. Now, I absolutely love this, not only from the creativity end of it, but the practicality. Being a journalist, reporter, host, what have you, you don't want to be bulked down. I'm always commuting. I commute by train to all the events and gigs and things that I do. So I'm always like, how can I consolidate? How can I fit, like I'm here with my cords and my tablet and my phone and my makeup. And then you don't want big bulky bags because you have to take cute pictures, and you want to be streamlined on the red carpet, and you don't want to be carrying like 2 bags, one for pictures and one to tuck under your chair or whatnot. And of course, just talking from personal perspective, a lot of what I do, I'm streaming, I'm taking pictures, I'm doing video, and that sucks up your batteries. Because not everything I can bring my camera guy to, so a lot of things I'll be streaming on my devices, and that sucks up your battery. So I absolutely love the ingenious design concept. So, the first thing that I loved years ago was when Elie Saab started the trend with Thank God Never Went Away of putting discreet pockets in ball gowns. So, which is fantastic. Like for anyone who's on the go, a woman who's doing a lot of things, and she needs to look streamlined but still elegant and glamorous. Pockets and ball gowns is like that's everything for a reporter. But now with Ann Luchade actually incorporating a power source into your dress discreetly, that's fantastic. And then she was doing also belts. She was showing like skinny belts as necklaces, which was really interesting, like chokers. She was also showing belts as headbands, like really kind of reinventing the functionality of pieces. So that was exciting to see. So there were so many great designers on Wednesday. Then Thursday we got rained out, so I wasn't able to get there. Oh my God. You know, for anyone not here in Philly, the rain last week was just, it was like monsoon practically every day, and hot and humid. And so I have to give a hats off to the whole Philly Fashion Week team. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, y'all started
but, woo! Yeah. But the thing is, like, what people don't know behind the scenes, and this is like a tribute to a well-run, hardworking, and unified team. Right? Like, you don't see all the cluster behind the scenes. You just see the presentation. But, like, behind the scenes of the video I have up of Conrad Booker's show, well, the show actually started an hour late. And when we got there at the press check-in time, they were still setting it up because the area in the Quad and City Hall was flooded. So the red carpet was actually wet when you walked across it. And of course, Conrad is doing his first solo 32-piece collection. It's all this like avant-garde wearable art, sculpture, all this stuff. They have stilt walkers and a trapeze artist and everything. And they literally had to clean the space, get all the water out, and set it in like record time for the people who were there to attend and cover the show. If you didn't know, you didn't know. And that's hats off to an amazing team. Like all week it was pouring, and of course that affects the production value. And it was in an outside venue, City Hall, in the tents. So, you know, the production just went off without a hitch. We saw so many great trends. Now, of course, Saturday, which is normally the finale night, but this year they went through to Sunday. So Saturday night, my great friend Diva, I love her to the moon and back, Elizabeth Delgado. She opened up the show with an amazing collection. So those of you who follow me and follow her, like you know that I've worn. We've collaborated on 2 pieces that actually have made it into magazines. So that one. Gold and black sequin high-low ball gown that I wore last September to Philly Fashion Week she made. And then that kind of throwback old Hollywood high-low jacket, the purple the silk jacquard with gold buttons and the train. She made that as well. Now, Elizabeth is known for incorporating her Mexican heritage in design elements in her collections. She usually does like headpieces and big gowns. Well, this collection, which is titled Emerald City, was actually a departure from her usual aesthetic, and I was loving it. She was giving us sleek and a sexy but classy ball gowns, but not like the huge voluminous, more like column, sleek, body conscious, but not overly sexy, like appropriate. She was doing cocktail suits, like jumpers. Jumpers continue to be a big trend on the red carpet, like what I would call like evening wear jumpers. All right, which again is another alternative to a gown and practical and comfortable. So she was showing a fringe, like beaded fringe. She was showing beautiful greens and deep blues and purples and jewel tones. And the show style showstopper was this beautiful strapless emerald green ball gown that had all these encrusted jewels, and then it had this big cape-like train, which actually it hooked to the model's finger, and then she was able to spread the train basically like a butterfly. It was amazing. So I was like, yes! So Elizabeth really stopped the show. So some of the trends that we were seeing both at New York and Philly Fashion Week. Metallic face paint was a big trend. I actually have some photos with some models on my social media. So we were seeing a lot of the models that had almost looked like foil, paint in bold, shiny metallics on their face. We were seeing a lot of gold lace applique. Yeah, Elizabeth was also showing a lot of velvet, and we saw velvet in many of the collections. One of the things I also loved about her collection, which we were seeing in many of the collections, was a fashion that really transcended to both straight sizes and plus sizes. We saw a lot of the collections that had plus and straight models, which was great. We saw a lot of leather. Leather and suede is a big trend coming into the fall. So, and we were seeing full outfits made out of suede. And not just your traditional black or brown, but we were seeing like navy blues, purples. We saw one pair of suede pants that actually looked like chaps a little bit. We were seeing pants that looked like jeans, but they were suede. Lots of leather. We were seeing leather dresses and skirts that had a lot of embellishment or hardware, kind of like disc and spikes and all kind of different kind of applique on the leather. So leather is not just for the jacket. We were really seeing the functionality of leather in separates. We saw a lot of beautiful Afrocentric designs, which was great. We were seeing lots of bold patterns. Like fringe is really a big trend that we were seeing in both Philly and New York Fashion Week, both in clothing and accessories. We were seeing in both New York and Philly Fashion Week alternative ways to style denim. Jay Pratt, who presented, I believe, on Saturday. Jay Pratt actually was showing denim vests. He was showing denim appliques in briefcases. So, like, not just your jeans. And of course, New York Fashion Week, we were kind of, I feel like this is an 80s throwback where we used to put, crystal pins and stuff like that on your jacket or your hats and stuff. So you were seeing a lot of that, like a cocktail dress with a denim jacket. Like, where we're showing where denim can be elevated and not just casual. So, black and white, of course, it was a big trend. We were seeing polka dots, sparkle. Sparkle is a huge trend, not only just going into the holidays, but for fall. So, casual sparkle, red carpet sparkle. So, we were seeing a lot of tunics that were all sparkly, cocktail dresses. I'd say definitely sparkle is a color to invest in. Sparkle is like, a trend to invest in for the fall. Colors this week, where we're seeing a lot of ice blues, metallics, red. One of the designers presented a whole collection of red ball gowns, which was just fantastic. And of course, on Saturday was in the afternoon was the Loving My Curves fashion show. Yes, and Adrian Randall says, "Say yes to sparkle." Yes, my sparkle sister. I say yes to sparkle every day. I said there's daytime sparkle, there's evening sparkle, there's holiday sparkle, there's black tie sparkle. So, yeah, oh, and then another thing, too, we were seeing is headdresses. So, of course, you might not be able to go into work wearing all these elaborate headdresses, but you can adapt that to your personal everyday style, maybe like with hair combs or different hair accessories that kind of are a little bit more elaborate, but not majorly over the top. Hey, Kevin. It's again, now that Kevin's on my feed, I want to say a big applause and hats off to you and your entire team for another amazing season at Philly Fashion Week. So we're just starting to talk about the Loving My Curves show, which was Saturday afternoon. Of course, Philly Fashion Week has always incorporated plus-size designers, plus-size models in many of the shows, but this was the first year, and really very important and exciting. This was the first year that Philly Fashion Week presented a whole show that was featuring plus-size designers and models and just spotlighting women of all sizes confidently and beautifully. So it was so exciting not only to be there, but to be part of it. So we had J. Bree Designs, of course, styled me in almost all of my looks for Philly Fashion Week this week. So I made my runway debut. So now I can get the inside perspective from both sides. So I actually learned some new terminology this week. So when I would see these fashion shows and the models would come out and the clap, I just always thought that was just the finale walk, but there's actually a term to that. So that's called flooding. So I'm backstage, and the runway captain, her name escapes me, but she's absolutely fantastic, and she also modeled in many of the collections this week. She was saying, okay, well, the flood bar is here, and for the models who are part of this collection, and then later in the evening you're going to go here, and then the flood this and the flood that, and I'm like, what's a flood? And so then she explained, I'm like, I know it was flooding earlier this week, but what's a flood? So then she explained to me that the flood is when the models all kind of rush out in what I would always call the finale walk and do the little clap, 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 clap. So that's the flood. So it was just really interesting. Wow. Yeah. So see, Kevin, I was learning things backstage. So I would say shout out to all the amazing hair and makeup team backstage that helped to make me and all the models beautiful and fantastic. So I was so excited to have my friends and diva extraordinaires Alexis Vogel and Shay Rivera do my makeup, and so of course we had to get in the mood, so we were listening to some CeCe Peniston, and we had our Vogue going on and this and that, and of course Cappuccino from Power 99 was hosting the red carpet. It's always great to see her, and it was just wonderful to be part of something that was just such positive energy, not only backstage but on the runway. The audience was just so hyped and excited, and it was just exciting to be part of something that was about uplifting women and embracing beauty in all sizes. So, of course, events like this don't happen without continued support and ticket sales. So, let's show everybody out there that these kinds of shows can not only break ground, but, make money in business. Of course, it costs a lot to put these shows on. There's so many moving parts. So we can't just say we want change, but not put our money where our mouth is and fiscally support the change. And it was just so nice. Like I was nervous, because most people work up to walking in Philly Fashion Week, and it was literally my first time ever walking a runway. Everybody was just so warm and encouraging. I had to give a shout out to my model friend Thomas Lopez, who gave me some crash course. And because you don't think when you're sitting in the audience, but there's a lot of work that goes into these shows, terminology, and so many things that the models have to be aware of, so everything flows right. So it was very exciting. You can catch all of my lives and everything on my page. I have to actually catch up this week and transfer them all over to the Style and Empowerment Chat page. But we got so much amazing footage. And all the great trends. So, of course, the last day is always a little bittersweet because you're sad because it's over. But, of course, Philly Fashion Week will be back in February, along with New York Fashion Week. So it was another amazing season full of fantastic talent and designers. So now that all my fashion weeks are over, this week I'm actually going to catch up on all my articles, and so I'll have my recap for both Marca and Philly Fashion Week coming out in the Scene Chicago magazine late this week, early next week. We're just again applaud all the women and the positivity and the artists and the hard work that goes into creating and presenting all these collections. So we're just full of so much joy here, and we, Style and Empowerment Chat is always a dance party, always your place for fun and happy and uplifting music to get you off your feet. So we're going to take a quick musical break. We're going to get it started with one of my all-time favorites, Marvin Gaye. I got to give it up. And then we'll be back talking about what's going on in Hollywood and Broadway and everything else. So keep it locked in to Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radios, and we'll be right back after this.
I was Garbo and Monroe, Dietrich and DiMaggio, Marlon Brando, Jimmy Dean, on the cover of a magazine. Grace Kelly, Hollow Jean, picture of a beauty queen. Jean Kelly, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, dance on air. They had style, they had grace. Rita Hayworth gave good face. Lauren Kaplan, Manitou, Betty Davis, we like it. Ladies with an attitude, fellas that were in the mood. Don't just stand there, let's get to it. Strike a pose, there's nothing to it.
To be young and in love in New York City. Do not know who I am, but still know that I'm good long as you're here with me. To be drunk and in love in New York City. Midnight into morning coffee, burning through the hours talking. Damn, I like me better when I'm with you. I like me better when I'm with you. I knew from the first time I stayed for a long time, 'cause I like me better when I'm with you. I don't know what it is, but I got that feeling. Waking up in this bed next to you, swear the room, yeah, got no ceiling. If we lay, let the day just pass us by. I might get to too much talking, I might have to tell you something. Damn, I like me better when I'm with you. I like me better when I'm with you. I knew from the first time I stayed for a long time, 'cause I like me better when I'm with you. Stay with me. Stay a while, oh. Stay a while, stay with me. Lay here with me. I like me better when I'm with you. I like me better when I'm with you. I knew from the first time I stayed for a long time, 'cause I like me better when I'm with you.
And welcome back to Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radios, your spot for feel-good music and good energy and empowerment. So, we're just right in the middle of our fun playlist and feeling better with you every week. So now let's dive into some of the things that are going on in Hollywood and the world of music. Well, of course, Cardi B continues to be in the news. Every time, Cardi. I think perhaps maybe Cardi needs a little anger management program because she just turned herself into the New York City Police Department the other day.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, everybody was buzzing about the fight that she had with Nicki Minaj at New York Fashion Week. Oh, so classy. But, yeah. But now, apparently in August, she was at a strip club, which, all right, everybody does her thing. I've been, done my share in Vegas and stuff, but, you're pregnant, you're engaged. That's not really like a good look. I personally don't feel. What are you doing pregnant, hanging out at the strip club? And then you're going to get mad at Nicki Minaj a month later for saying stuff about your parenting skills. Well, I personally feel, I don't have children, but I feel like once you become a parent, you're supposed to be a role model to your children. And there's just certain things that you just need to kind of leave to the side. So, something that you should definitely be leaving to the side is allegedly telling members of your entourage to attack two bartenders with bottles and chairs. So, Cardi B turned herself in, and she's being charged with reckless endangerment and assault. I just don't understand this mindset. There's so many things in life where you're going to be disappointed or disrespected or feel taken for granted or mistreated in some kind of way. And you're a grown woman. You can't, especially as a public figure, you're watched and held out to a different standard. And you can't handle every single situation that upsets you with either being verbally aggressive or physically aggressive or passive aggressive. That just is not constructive, especially when you're now in a role having won Grammys and MTV Video Awards. People are looking up to you.
Like they still paying to watch fitness. So
exactly.
Consequences behind
exactly. And I think that's also
so that's what they're getting comfortable with because that's what she started out
right
on a reality show doing those things.
Yeah.
And now it's like paid to get ratchet.
Exactly. And I think we also kind of have to take a look at ourselves ongoing, the kind of things in entertainment we endorse and give life. Certain things I just don't watch. I just don't listen to. I feel if you're carrying yourself in a certain kind of way and promoting a certain kind of mentality and behavior, I'm just not going to watch you or listen to you. So I'm about people who are, even if it's a light, fluffy thing, because not everything is serious. We need things that are light and take our minds off of things, and those are equally as important as the things that provoke thought and emotion and reflection. But within that, even the light things, I feel need to have a certain level of class and just respect for self and promoting a message of self-respect and respecting others. Even if it's something light and fluffy, you can still be being positive. So I just have to say I continue to be disappointed with what I'm seeing from Cardi B, and I don't feel that she's positively using the influence that she has. We all make our personal choice, but I feel if you're in a point of influence, that you should use it in a positive way. So that brings us to another tidbit of news that I'm very excited to deliver. Well, you all know that Maxwell is one of my big inspirations, and we all know everybody who follows me knows my love for Maxwell and Enrique and Beyonce. My top three. Well, after 10 years of anticipation, Maxwell just released, and of course, a couple months ago, he released this short film, but he now actually released another single called Shame. It's amazing. Maxwell doesn't make anything that isn't fantastic, but I'm so excited to be hearing this new music. So, of course, Maxwell is an artist who has a lot of integrity and comes and goes on his own terms, without conforming and falling prey to the pressures of the music industry, which is very admirable. And, of course, he keeps his fans waiting for years in anticipation. So we're so excited that Maxwell has come out with some new material. So of course I have the official snippet of the song on my social media. It's on my Instagram. Facebook, of course, muted it, which is so whack. I'm literally showcasing this artist's new work that I'm excited about. And then they mute it, saying I don't own the rights. Hello, Diana. Okay, so I want to give a special shout out to my hair and makeup sponsor this past week for Philly Fashion Week, Diana Guzman, who beat my face fantastically and made my hair look like I had 3 heads of hair. So definitely follow Diana Christine Guzman on Instagram and Facebook. So I also want to give a shout out to Kellyanne Clunas, who I'm actually wearing one of her necklaces today. I'm a brand ambassador, and I wore the outfit that I had on Sunday, where I had the black and cheetah print dress. So the black onyx necklace that I was wearing was one of her necklaces. So Kellyanne, she makes all these beautiful statement pieces out of natural earth and stones. Okay, so the necklace that I have on today, thank you, Kellyanne, just popped on my feet. So this is Botswana agate. Then try and get it close up. It's grays and beautiful browns. And yes, and you can follow her at Kellene Gems. That's Kellene Gems with a G on Instagram. So she's based out in New York City, and of course she also styled me with the necklaces that I wore to cover New York Fashion Week. So and thank you to all of my hair and makeup and wardrobe and accessory sponsors. Of course, I was wearing on what day was it? I think Thursday. I wore this amazing a glow-in-the-dark purse made by Paul Anthony Mantilla. And so he actually patented this liquid glow-in-the-dark dye that he paints on these purses to make all these interesting patterns when the light's off. So you have one look in the regular light and another look when it's dark. And of course, Natalie Dionato from Mob Watch, my friend. We ran into each other at Philly Fashion Week, so it's always nice to run into all your industry friends at these events. Now, in other Hollywood news, beyond Cardi B's ongoing fights, she seems to need to get a new hobby. So, of course, the movie Venom, which has been highly anticipated, the release in the past couple of months, just premiered in LA, and so this is actually a kind of big story because everybody was anticipating that it was going to be a really, really big blockbuster, and Sony Pictures had heavily been promoting it. Like there's billboards all over Hollywood, and the movie was expected to receive stellar reviews during the premiere, and it's slated for national release October 5th, and they were forecasting the opening weekend to be 40 million to 60 million in box office sales. However, however, after the initial screening on Monday, critics have rated the film a failure.
That's after your hard work.
Yeah.
That doesn't make anybody.
So they basically told people not to waste your money and not to go and see it. So, yeah.
What people had their own opinion.
Exactly.
But how much did they put into the movie?
No, I'll research that.
Yeah.
I'm figuring, well, if they're anticipating, and keeping in mind, like Tom Hardy, I'm sure he makes about $20 million per film or $15 million per film. Michelle Williams probably makes around $8 million.
Put that budget.
And the trailers and the riders and the craft food services and the security and the this and the that. I mean, if we're anticipating an opening weekend of 40 to 60 million, you figure the film budget had to at least be triple that. Right. So they did say that Tom Hardy was brilliant in the film and Michelle Williams was very good, but the other actors in the film were very weak in their performance. And they were also saying that where the film kind of went left was, now I'm not really that familiar with the story. It's based on a comic book. I'm not a comic book girl, so I really don't go out to these action movies and comic-based movies. I did see Wonder Woman and really liked that, but that was kind of an exception for me because it was all about girl power and everything.
Right.
Plus, Chris Pine was in it. Chris Pine. One of my favorite scenes was the opening scene in the grotto. Where Chris was walking around all cute and shirtless. Oh, that scene could have been a little longer.
I have to watch it.
Yeah, but I mean, all jokes aside, Wonder Woman was really a great movie. But I'm just not into the whole X-Men Part 200 and all that, and Fast and Furious Part 37 and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of all the explosions and this and that doesn't really hold my attention. But that these artists make a lot of money, and so they said that where it went south was that they tried to make the story too PG. So I guess in an attempt to appeal and be able to show the film to a younger audience, rather, it kind of, I guess, lost its grit. They're saying, and that the plot kind of wandered and needed to be reined in more. Yeah. So.
Gotta see.
And of course, Tom Hardy right now is Mr. Big Box Office, so he really hasn't dealt with a flop. So it's gonna be interesting how they're gonna spin this. But, you know, at the same point, like you said...
Do you think they focus on the wrong character at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. Because, you know, Hollywood kind of tends to be like the flavor of the month and latch on.
If it's like Spider-Man, like the main characters, everybody's still going to run and go see it.
Right.
I think somebody need to do an all-straight Joker movie.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
Well, didn't they do that with Heath Ledger?
Yeah, but that still was like Batman.
It was like, kind of still Batman kind of in it.
Yeah. Or come up with something like that character. I mean, people want to see villains more.
Yeah.
You don't really want to see the good guy.
I like to see the good guys. I like to see people do it.
No, it's just like seeing
gets and all that.
Yeah. But I still like all that. I'm still a big fan of Superman.
Right. But within that, too.
Blue Ice APVs.
Right? But then, too, within that, I feel like how many times can they remake the same franchise?
Yeah.
They've had so many different Superman, and then they get a new person who's going to be the face of the franchise, and then they make 3 movies with that. Like in the 70s and 80s, it was Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder, right? They were the first Superman Lois Lane couple, right? And there was 4 Supermans of that franchise.
Yeah, sure.
Then I think in the early 2000s they had that guy Brandon something or another with the reboot. They did like 3 movies with that.
Yeah, they try to
then they get somebody else.
Yeah.
Same thing with Spider-Man. It was Tobey Maguire, who I never really felt carried off.
More different directors take them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I never really felt that Tobey Maguire carried off the role of Spider-Man well.
It's like a lot of hard work, they said, and then just give up. Like, I'm like, if that's something you wanted to do, why give up now? I guess because I'm getting tired. I got tired of seeing different faces playing that one character.
Exactly.
Like, you know how they had Freddy Krueger, he will always play that same character, and then they changed it.
Right.
For the last 2, for that last one, I think. I'm like, wow.
Oh, like how many times?
Yeah. I think everybody should create their own characters. Like, start getting more adventures. Like, start adding more things, or use characters that they thought was so weak back then and make them awesome.
Yes. Now, talking about another film that is like the umpteenth redo. So, of course.
Is it going to be Predator?
No, no, we're going in a totally different direction. Okay. And we're going to talk about action movies. That's not my lane at all. Okay. Like I could say I
like drama.
Yes, I like drama. I like musicals. I like period pieces.
Yeah, I love all this.
I like romantic comedies, but ones that have a level of intelligence and not stupid and crassness.
Right.
I like foreign films. You know, I love like multicultural kind of films. But I can say I know who Chris Hemsworth is because I see him in the press and People magazine, and Liberty has a huge crush on him, but I've never seen one of his films. I know who Chris Pratt is, but I've never seen one of his films. I saw the first Fast and Furious, and then that was about it. Okay? Because I saw the first Triple X, which was like I think maybe in 2000.
They start watering it down.
Exactly.
More stuff. Even at home, even more action in it. It's still
right. So you could name all these different people. I have no idea who they are because their work doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
Now to the people who are really into all that stuff, but to me, I'm like, where's the plot?
See, at least you got their names. I just watch the
I'm
movie
like whatever.
Cool.
I'm like, you're right. You're like boom, bam, woo.
Yeah. See, you truthful. You pay attention to the directors and the writers.
Yes, exactly.
I don't. I just say, hey, if it's a good movie, I'm gonna watch it.
Right now, I just say one of the things that stuck out in my mind about Triple X, not so much the story. I couldn't really, I remember Vin Diesel was like running around on a motorcycle or something. All right, but one of the things that stuck out in my mind, because I'm very much a visual person, so I'm about the cinematography, the art direction, the costumes. So one of the things I loved about Triple X, I remember just all these beautiful outdoor scenes on mountains and like the snow and just beautiful like wide shots. That sticks more into my mind than what the movie is. Like I saw what was it, the Italian Job, like the first two. Then after that, like, okay, how many car chases can we do? How many explosions? How many leaps from the buildings? I'm like, gotta engage my mind with a little bit more than just the boom and the jump and the scream. But now talking about one of our Philadelphia natives, Bradley Cooper. So he just made his directorial debut, directing the third remake of A Star Is Born. Lady Gaga. Now, he apparently sings in this movie. They say that he sings pretty well. But I'm thinking, like, okay, obviously something...
You can't anything.
Yeah, why that? Right, that's true.
To make them sound good.
Exactly.
It's good.
Right. And now, clearly something about the story A Star Is Born resonated with him. But... like, well, this is your first directorial debut. Don't you want to do something that's fresh? This is now the third remake. Of course, the first came out in, I believe, the 50s with Judy Garland, who, of course, played Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Then the second, was I think it was in either the late 70s or early 80s, was with Barbara Streisand and Kris Kristofferson. So now we're at remake 3 with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And I'm kind of like, how can we be telling the same story 3 times?
Yeah, that's true.
To me, it doesn't, it's like, okay, that's fresh. So, but it's a great thing that Bradley's diversifying into directing, and I think it's always great when you expand your talent and you try and tap into multiple lanes of creativity. I just think, he could have stretched himself a little bit more. So now in TV news, for those of you who follow the dance shows, Jenna Dewan just announced that she's stepping down from hosting the World of Dance.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and of course Jennifer Lopez just wrapped up her residency in Las Vegas. Yeah, she really is. And so of course Jennifer always looks fabulous. Yeah. And so now of course we're gearing up for the new seasons of I Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars and America's Got Talent and all those shows. I gotta say
I think they need to add a little bit more.
Yeah,
like, let them
make
show off more
fresh.
of their talent. They just let them just be up there and judge. Like, let's see a performance behind the thing, like how you're working it, not just like, oh, they choreographer and they being right there. But I want to see more, like they had a showcase
process.
And how they get other people before they judge them.
Right.
That's what I think.
And now I haven't watched those shows. I mean, I honestly, at this point in my life,
because at the top, model went to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So far, season you like how many, but they did start combining them now, women and male and all that type of stuff, which is cool. But I'm just like, it's just weird,
right?
Well, what is it to watch now? Maybe for the younger people, but they're not really getting as much ratings as they used to.
And I think, of course, American Idol was really the first mainstream hit of these.
No, because it's not on your phone,
the new generation of these talent shows.
Yeah.
And now there's so many reality talent shows, and then you're kind of thinking, like, well, what really makes it worth it for these people to compete? Like, is the prize really worth it? What opportunities are you really giving them? Because can you think of the winners of I Know You Can Dance 3 years ago? No, not really. You know, so I think these shows need to kind of think more about, well, what opportunity are they providing for the contestants? Like I said, I'm always so busy with everything with work and the radio show and now the TV show and stuff. I really don't have that much time to watch TV anymore. But, you know, when I do, well, I still love Bravo, and I do love my Housewives. I haven't watched them in a while. And then I always love watching $1 Million Listing. I love that show. Well, you know, of course, an extension of style. I love interior design and architecture.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So
I like watching people build stuff.
Exactly. And there's so much art in design.
You ever watched what's that one? I know it's not Shark Tanks. It's another one where they actually build like fish tanks and stuff.
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's old though, but they used to have it. Like they built like the craziest big fish tanks in the walls, anywhere, on the floor, everywhere.
So now, in other Hollywood news, Emma Stone and Gisele Bündchen, of course, Tom Brady's wife, just came. Yeah. Okay. Well, apparently they've been kind of having up and downs in their relationship, but both Gisele and Emma.
He got mad because he lost it.
Yeah, he lost the Super Bowl. That's so stupid.
That's why you brought it in.
Like, come on. That's like saying, oh, you're married. I don't know. Okay, so you're married to.
He probably went home mad.
Yeah, like you're married to John Legend, and he didn't win the Grammy, and he comes home acting like a jerk.
Yeah.
And okay, so now we're gonna get divorced. I'm like, you know, you got to learn how to take both your wins and your losses in life gracefully. But both of these ladies just came out publicly saying that Emma had come out and said that she has dealt with anxiety issues, and Gisele has come out and said that she's dealt with depression. And, you know, I feel it's always very important to help take away the stigma behind depression and anxiety and stress that we all go through when these women in positions of influence come out and share those things, because it makes other people going through those same things feel less alone. And again, it helps to break down the stigma, which I think that's a good thing. You know, of course, we all want to have our privacy, but at the same point, if you can help someone through sharing your story or your struggles, that's a good thing. So now, a little breaking news. So, GQ is releasing its November issue today online and on newsstands on Thursday. So the big buzz in this month's issue of GQ is a superstar actor, TV star, all-around film icon, Johnny Depp, came out publicly for the first time talking to British GQ about the domestic abuse allegations that have been put on him the past couple months from his ex-wife Amber Heard. Yeah. And of course, for those of you who have been following that story, or just a little refresh, I guess it was 2 years ago when they were still married, she claimed that she was at this party with Johnny Depp, and he threw a cell phone at her, and then, you know, was yelling at her and stuff. So there's no witnesses that seem to be able to corroborate this. And a couple days later, she posted some video where she was all bruised up and saying he threw a phone at her at this party and had abused her and all this stuff. And up until this point, Johnny Depp had actually been silent and hadn't really come forward and spoken his mind or given his piece on the situation. And so in the issue of British GQ out now, he talks for the first time about the fact that the allegations have had on him and his kids. And he said that he'll never stop fighting against Amber's abuse claims. And he basically, I'm not going to quote it verbatim because I don't have it in front of me, but basically he says that... okay. I like messaging me while I'm on the air. That's nice. I'm like, hit me up at 2:30. So basically, Johnny Depp's account of things is that he was a couple feet away from Amber at this party, that he may look stupid, but he's not stupid, and he wouldn't consciously hurt anybody, and that he didn't throw this phone at her, and that he was in a room full of people, and that later she posted this video a few days later with all this bruising, and he said that when the cops came to the house, she refused assistance by an EMT, she refused, and there was no bruising when they came to the house. So he's basically saying that this didn't happen at all, and he's
probably put makeup on it, made it look like that. But if they didn't see it, I don't know. Mike was like arguing, and she probably was going to do something, and he did it after.
Right.
You never know.
You never know. And of course, he's saying that he wants to know why, and why someone who he loved would do something like this. I said, there's always
put his business out there if that's the case.
Exactly. So we could look at this in two ways. One, that she's making it up to get some paper and for ulterior negative reasons.
But a lot of women
that he
took a lot of abuse from them rich people after they get to know him. Like, you can't do that using my money.
Right. Or
so
these men who think that they can power trip on their women because they have more money in the bank account. No.
Until they get court. They have to be really exactly. You got to get them in public. Like, the rest of the stuff happened. Elevators, steps.
Right. So you hit it right on the head, lady. See, I mean, he could actually just be trying to cover up, because how many men in Hollywood or
there's been a lot
that beat their girlfriends or their wives actually come out and say, "Oh yeah, you know, I hit my girl up," and no, 9 times out of 10 these abusers aren't going to come out and say it. So you really, in this case, you just kind of don't know what to believe.
Yeah,
but it's sad when there's kids involved and people's careers, and at the end of the day, we just need to treat each other with respect. And I think we all, if we're going to talk about accusations of things, whatever it is, you need to be truthful. I'm not saying she's not being truthful, I don't know, but I'm just saying in general, if you're going to accuse someone of things, don't do it just because you're trying to get back at someone, because you're talking about people's reputation, their livelihood, and then it makes it hard for other victims who really are experiencing these things to get justice, to be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
So I think if you're going to put it out there, make sure it's really true. So on that note, we're going to take another musical break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about all the things that are happening in Broadway and some other hot topics. So keep it locked into Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and Friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radios, and we'll be back after this break.
know I love music. And every time I hear something hot, it makes me want to move. It makes me want to have fun. But it's something about this joint right here. This joint right here, it makes me want to... Let it go. Can't let this thing called love get away from you. Feel free right now, go do what you wanna do. Can't let nobody take it away from you, from me, from we. No time for moping around, are you kidding? And no time for negative vibes, 'cause I'm winning. It's been a long week, I put in my hardest. Gonna live my life, feels so good to get it right. So I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life, ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right, I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I wouldn't change my life, just fine, 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 ooh, fine, 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 ooh, fine, 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 ooh. See, I wouldn't change my life, just fine. So good when you're doing all the things that you wanna do. Get the best out of life, treat yourself to something new. Keep your head up high in yourself, believe in you, believe in me. Having a really good time, I'm not complaining. And I'ma still wear a smile if it's raining. I gotta enjoy myself regardless. I appreciate life, I'm so glad that it's mine. So I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Ain't worried about doing what you're gonna do, I'm a lady, so I must stay classy. Gotta keep it high, keep it together if I want to get better. See, I wouldn't change my life, just fine, 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 ooh, fine, 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 fine. See, I wouldn't change my life, I ain't gonna let nothing get in my way. Bring me down, no matter what nobody has to say. I ain't gonna let nothing get in my way. No matter what nobody has to say. When you're doing all the things that you wanna do, get the best out of life, treat yourself to something new. It's a really good thing to say that I won't change my life, just fine, 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 See, I won't change my life, just fine. See when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life, ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right, I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I won't change my life, just fine, 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 See, I won't change my life, just fine.
know that I'm not your star. Know that you don't need me. But you do. You got my dreams wild. Lady, I've got to know ya. Hey, number, yeah. I gotta get to know ya. Your way, word you probably say when you want. I'm right here, baby. Longing to know ya. Feel me?
when I want you. Anything you want me to, yeah, keep my hands on you. When you hold me in your arms, you shake my body with your charms, and I just don't give a darn my heart. I don't see you every day, but in my own way, I love you.
I'm vibrating.
And welcome back to Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and Friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radios. I hope you are feeling hyped and joyous and you are up out of your seat and bouncing in your cubicle or wherever you are and feeling the good vibes and energy. So, of course, we were talking earlier in the show about our Philly Fashion Week recap, trends. We were talking about what's going on in the world of film and Hollywood and music. And so now let's talk about some new developments going on in Broadway. So there's some new musicals coming to the stage. So now Cameron Crowe, the Oscar-winning director of Almost Famous, which of course launched Kate Hudson's career, and several other now big stars. He is in pre-production to bring a stage version of the Oscar-winning film to Broadway. So that'll be very interesting. Of course, Cameron has written scores for other plays before, so we'll be interested to see the stage adaptation of the movie. And of course, they're also in pre-production. They're making a new musical celebrating the legacy and life of Princess Diana. It's going to be debuting in March, I believe, in California in a test run. So, of course, those of you who are followers of me from the begin, I know that Princess Diana is one of my inspirations on so many levels, not just fashion, but philanthropy, grace. I just have loved her and all the things that she stands for and stood for since I was a little girl. So I actually had the privilege to see the Princess Diana exhibit at the Constitution Center a couple years ago, which had her wedding gown and many of her iconic outfits that were photographed in People magazine and all the Enquirer and all the magazines of the day. So we're interested to see how that's going to be. And of course, the Temptations biomusical, Ain't Too Proud, will open on Broadway March 21st. And now a long-running musical is actually coming to an end in April. The musical Kinky Boots, which was based off of the movie with Chiwetel Afeto. Oh man, I always mess up his name.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. So he starred in the movie version, and the musical is closing production after 6 years in April, and the Tony Award-winning musical will be the 25th longest running production in Broadway history. So it ranks right up there with A Chorus Line and Cats and Cabaret, Hello Dolly. We're sad to see it go, but we do have to make room for new talent, new vision, and so just such a fabulous play. So
that's crazy, and media can stay in forever.
Yes, I know. And the Lion King, I mean, that play has been on Broadway, I think, for at least 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a play that has just gone on and on and on and on forever. So,
Nutcracker.
Oh, yeah, right.
Everlasting.
Yes.
I still want to go see one. I watched it in schools and stuff, but I want to watch a real good one.
Right, so now, of course, that brings us to another news point. So there's a new which looks like to be amazing and exciting. There's a new concert venue opening up in December in Philadelphia called the Met Philly. That's an old theater being remodeled. And so the lineup of performers that are already slated is fantastic. And it hasn't even opened yet. So soprano and Broadway star Sarah Brightman is already on tap to perform in December at the Met Philly. Let's see, John Legend just announced that he's recording a new Christmas album of six original songs and 8 holiday classics, and he's going to be going on tour, a Christmas concert tour, starting in the end of, I think it was either the end of October, early November, and one of his tour stops is going to be the new Met Philly. And Philly icons, and one of my oh man, this group was so much part of my teenage years. Boyz II Men just announced that they're going to be coming to the Met Philly. I think they said it was February or May. So I'm going to be all at that. So I know, I was so sad. I had to work Friday night. I was so upset that I wasn't able to come to see your collection on at Philly Fashion Week, Reginald. But I'd like to invite you to come and present it in studio here at Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and Friends, and have some of your models come in and be a guest on my show, and we can spotlight some of your designs in studio. Unfortunately I couldn't come every single day. I was so upset that I wasn't able to make it, but Reginald, you are welcome to come in studio and present your collection. Now we're going to take a quick musical break, and when we come back, we always talk about on the show that words have power, and the meaning of words, and I feel it's important not only to be conscious of the words and phrases that you choose to use, but knowing what those words and the history of the meaning of those words and phrases mean, because you could be subtly saying things that you don't realize because you don't realize the history and the connotation behind those words. So, when we come back, we're going to go a little bit more into the serious side of our show and brand, and we're going to kind of talk about the back meaning behind some commonly used phrases and words and things that maybe you might reconsider using. So keep it locked in to Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and Friends on London Energy and Take It to the Streets Radio. And we'll be right back after the quick song break.
So, what do you want to do? I'm here, baby. I'm ready, baby. I'm waiting on you. Believe me, I am patiently waiting on you. Yeah, there's something wrong with me. Every time I'm alone with you, you keep talking about you loving me. Hey, babe, your foreplay just blows my mind. So why don't we stop all the talking, girl? Why don't we stop wasting time? I've had my share of lovers. Some say I'm damn good. And if you think you can turn me out, baby, I wish that you would. 'Cause you keep telling me this and telling me that. once I'm with you, I'll never go back. You say there's a lesson that you wanna teach. Well, here I am, baby. Practice what you preach.
And telling you that, 'cause once I've been with you, you'll never go back. There is a lesson that I'm gonna teach.
Well, here I am, baby. Practice what you preach. Yeah, it's just you and me. So many things I can do to you, and so many ways I can please. Hey, 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 it's your move. Yeah. Why don't you start turning down the lights and show me just what you can do? Hey, baby, I've had my share of lovers. Some of them were damn good. But if you think you can turn me out, girl, I just wish that you would, 'cause you just keep telling me this and telling me that. You say what's up with you, I'll never go back. Say there's a lesson you wanna teach. Here I am, baby. Practice what you preach.
Because it's a fact.
Is it?
Once I've been with you, you'll never go back.
Really?
There is a lesson that I'm gonna teach.
Well, I'm still waiting. Practice what you preach.
And telling you that, 'cause once I've been with you, you'll never go back.
Show me.
There is a lesson that I'm gonna teach.
Here I am. Practice on me.
Saying this because it's a fact.
Is it?
Once I've been with you, you'll never go back.
Really?
There is a lesson that I'm gonna teach.
Girl, I'm still waiting. Practice what you preach.
Telling you that, 'cause once I've been with you, you'll never go back. There is a lesson that I'm gonna teach.
Here I am, girl. Practice on me.
Prejudice. Wrote a song about it? Like to hear it? Here it go.
Free your mind. I wear tight clothing, high heel shoes. It doesn't mean that I'm a prostitute. No, no. I like rap music, wear hip hop clothes. That doesn't mean that I'm a selling dope. No, no, no.
and welcome back to Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and friends on Take It to the Streets and London Energy Radio. So we're taking our fashion and our party hats off right now. So now we're going to get into freeing your mind and talking about the importance of knowing the history and connotation behind words and phrases and things you say, and making sure that the words that are coming out of your mouth actually are what you're thinking and feeling and intend to deliver. So there's so many phrases and things that we use on a ongoing basis, but we don't really think what's the origin. So how many of us have used the phrase uppity to describe somebody that's snobby or kind of has a stank attitude and thinks that they're better than other people? Well, if we actually research into the history of that saying, it actually has racist background. So in the age of slavery, uppity was actually used as a term to describe slaves that slave masters felt were being too confident and having too much of a sense of self, and that basically needed to stay in their place, so to speak. So if you're using the word uppity, you're actually carrying on a phrase and mentality that originated in the time of slavery. Now, how about the saying, no comments from the peanut gallery? We often hear this in connotation for like a rowdy group, settle down, hey, trying to get everybody's attention. Again, it's important to research and know where these phrases come from, because we don't want to throw back to oppressive mentality. So no comment from the peanut gallery actually came from the vaudeville era, when people of color had to sit in the high back seats, balcony, like the areas that were the worst seating, and they gave them the cheaper snacks, which often were peanuts. So hence came the phrase, no comments from the peanut gallery, which is actually a kind of a blanket way of saying, the lower class, the people who don't deserve to have access to the same level of things as other people. So, again...
That's what my mom and them used to do with me. They want steak, we eat hot dogs.
Right. But back then, it wasn't... this was, racism and segregation. So I think it's important that today, that if we're using these phrases, we actually, and lingos, and let's think about the meaning of the words that we're using. Another one we hear all the time, grandfather clause. So that typically refers to any entity or person or business that's allowed to continue operating under old rules, where everybody else is expected to operate under the new rules. Like, for instance, if you enrolled in your cell phone plan before a certain date where maybe they changed the data rates or plans or whatnot. They'll often say, oh, well, we'll grandfather you in and continue in you at that rate on the contract, but anybody new who is signing up for service has to pay this. Or you'll hear that sometimes with insurance or benefits. Well, we're going to grandfather you in. Basically make an exception since you started before the changes happened. Well, that saying actually has a very, very racist origin. So the phrase was born from the Reconstruction political strategy. So it provided those who had enjoyed the right to vote prior to 1866 or 1867, or their lineal descendants would be exempt from the educational, property, or tax requirements for voting. So back in the 1800s and early, to mid 1900s, up to about 1950s and 60s, you couldn't just go to the polling station, step in the booth, pull the lever, and vote. You actually had to, though on paper everybody legally was allowed to vote, you had to go through past certain requirements to vote. So, former slaves who had not been granted the franchise until the adaptation of the 15th Amendment in 1870, which gave people of color, the right to vote, and that you couldn't exclude people.
Yes.
All right. They would use these practices like, oh, well, you have to own a home, or you have to, or things of that nature. Or you had to pass a literacy test or things like that, and they would always make it unreachable, and that was their backdoor way of keeping people of color from being able to vote. And they did not hold white people, poor, uneducated white people, accountable in the same way. So a sharecropper or some, poor white farmer who might not be educated on the issues could go in and vote and didn't have to go through these tests and different things. But, a former slave who wanted to go in and vote, they would put all these basically backhanded racist qualifications, which they would always seem to fail. So they couldn't vote. Now, the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution prohibits the federal and state government from denying a citizen the right to vote based on the citizen's race. But as we said, many states in the South in the post-Reconstruction era, for those of you who aren't being taught this in history class, the Reconstruction era was post-slavery, after Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, making slavery illegal. And so many states through the South up into the 1960s, during the era of Jim Crow segregation practices, would initiate and enact these tests and qualifications for people of color who are trying to vote and register to vote. And like we said, these weren't required of whites who were trying to vote. And, tying this into today, I can't say like how heavy and disgusted my heart was when I'm tuned into the news, and there's actually a movement within the Trump administration now to abolish. They feel we don't need to have laws making slavery illegal. I don't know where to really begin to go in on that ignorance, but these laws are here to protect us.
Yeah.
These laws are here to protect us from ignorant and prejudice and racist thinking, and we're nowhere near where we need to be in that. You shouldn't have to say it's illegal to enslave and degrade and take somebody's humanity away.
Yeah.
But for some people, you have to say that, and you still have prostitution, you still have white slavery, as it's called. Oh, okay. People kidnapping other people, and all this kind of stuff. How you can say that this is not important and in today's world just blows my mind. So it's very important we know our history.
And that's why they want everybody to get out there and vote.
Exactly. And so, of course, during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, voter rights activists of all colors were subjected to various forms of violence, not only from police, but from unruly crowds and members of the KKK and skinheads and all those kind of organizations. You had the Freedom Riders who would bus volunteers to different spots in the South to help register people to vote, who would march in the different civil rights marches, like the March on Selma. Many of these activists were clubbed by police, were lynched. There were white freedom riders, who were in the fight and in the mix, and put their lives on the line to stand up for equality and the rights of others. And the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which is signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson, aimed to overcome the legal barriers at the state and local levels that prevented African Americans and people of color from exercising their right to vote. And it's considered one of the most far-reaching pieces of civil rights legislation in U.S. history. So I say this over and over again. You have to take part, even if the outcome isn't what you wanted or voted for. You have to take part in our process. You have to vote. You have to be engaged. You have to educate yourself on what the platforms of your local legislators are, what things are up for referendum, and especially being a woman, you cannot be apathetic when it comes to taking part in our government and the voting process, because we did not always have that right. African American women were not allowed to vote until 1954. That was not that long ago. Okay, so there are people who literally laid down their lives to make sure we had the right to vote and execute our democracy and our voice and to be represented. So to say, oh, I don't have time to vote, or I'm not really into it, or it's not going to make a difference anyway. You know, one person can't make a difference. Everybody can make a difference. And whether your candidate wins or not, the bigger picture is that you're enacting your rights, and you're taking a claim. You're coming out and making a stance and being part of the process. And we can't say that we're upset about certain things going on in the country and then turn around and not be part of the process. So another area where I think we really have to think about the meaning of words and what we're really saying to each other. There's so many words that we toss at women on an ongoing basis, not only men to women, but back and forth to each other, that we don't really think about that these words actually have sexist meaning behind them and suppressive mentality. Okay, so I'm just going to throw some things out here for you all to think and consider. Okay, so when you're saying some of these words that I'm about to say, what you're really saying to a woman is to be quiet, to submit, to not fight and advocate for herself. So when you call a woman bossy, abrasive, a ball buster, intense, emotional, hot-headed, forward, or the B word, a melodramatic, or pushy, what you're really saying is be quiet and don't stand up for yourself.
Right.
You know, and that is a bad message. We don't say these things to men. Yeah. You know, if a man is in a negotiation in a boardroom,
maybe we should start doing it.
Yeah, right? I mean, you don't call a man intense or bossy or whatnot if he's in litigation and he's negotiating contracts and saying, no, my client wants this and that and whatever. It's like, oh, he's a good guy, he gets results. But what if a woman brings that same flow? She's mannish, or she's this, she's that, she's that. You know, you never hear anyone say, oh, that guy's too forward.
Yeah.
Right? He's too intense. It's expected that men are going to be vocal and use their voice in a business capacity. So I think that it is wrong to use that kind of suppressive language towards women just because they're expressing their viewpoints. They're passionate about something. There's a lot of stereotypes that, if you're upset about something, you're irrational if you're a woman. And I think we just need to really sweep all that nonsense away, because what you're really saying beneath the surface is that women aren't allowed to stand up for themselves and expect the same things and hold their head with the same level of respect and drive that men are. And let's also think about the names that we call each other, quote, in affection. You know, if you're calling your fellow woman the B word, or, you know, us, or something, the phrase that's also a garden tool that starts with an H, or some of these other words, and say, oh, well, we're homies, we're friends, oh, it's all cool. No, it's not. It's not cool. You know, that's not uplifting, that's not empowering, that's not, you know, growing the spirit of your friend or your loved one. There's lots of other uplifting words and empowering words that you can call your girlfriend or your homie or whatever something other than the B word. Yeah, I mean, that's not a positive word. You know, I myself don't call other women that. And you know, we always need to be conscious of the words we choose, what we say, and that the phrases and the words are actually coming from a point of positivity and not with negative backstory. And oftentimes we get these sayings and just like in fashion and art and music, slang comes in and out, but we really need to think, where does that slang come from? Where do the words come from? And is the history of the word and the phrase something that's positive, or is it a word that comes from oppression? And that we're conscious that we don't give those kinds of words power and life, and that we're not in any way suppressing the self-esteem, rights, and dignity of each other, especially our friends. So, yeah, I leave you with those things to kind of think and ponder about. So I'm very excited about next week's guest. So we have a jewelry designer, Ahasna Sakara Salam, who recently showed in New York Fashion Week, Marcon New York Fashion Week. So she's going to be calling in from Kansas. And so she creates ear cuffs and glass-blown jewelry with rare glass and crystal and silver, and she created a custom jewelry collection for Marca Fashion Week that actually had a Worli theme, which is an Aboriginal tribe in India that doesn't have a written script. So we're going to be talking all about her craftsmanship, her creative process, and so she's going to be talking all about her amazing jewelry. So we're very excited about that. So, of course, follow the Style and Empowerment Chat with Laura and Friends Facebook page. I will, this week I'll have all my videos from Philly Fashion Week transferred over there. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram on at SRPKL Diva, and my personal Facebook page, Laura Mazurek, M-A-Z-U-R-E-K. So until next time, stay strong, stay beautiful. We'll be back next Wednesday live on Take It to the Streets Radio. We'll Take It to the Streets TV.com, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, and of course in syndication on London Energy Radio UK every Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. London time. So I hope you have a wonderful and empowered and positive day, spreading good and loving energy to yourself and those around you. And we'll be back next week.